What's up, how you doing? Here we are Wednesday night, and Wednesday night is spaghetti night, and tonight we're having spaghetti with high quality meat sauce, fresh. They made it this morning, grounded it up, and I went and bought it, and here we are, put it in the fridge. Here we are tonight, and we're gonna have some very, very nice spaghetti with meat sauce. My wife making it. She's very good at it, tastes very good, and I highly recommend it. So, got a cup here. If you could see that, you could see it. It says TWA, San Diego to the world. And TWA is my favorite airliner. Does not exist anymore, but it should. That and Pan American. Who would have thought back in the 70s that in the year 2023, Pan Am and TWA would be a distant memory. Distant memory. I want to say 90% of the places I went in my life, maybe not 90, maybe 86%, right? Were flown on TWA. I flew on TWA. Doesn't make sense, we're flown, but I took TWA. And back then, even if you flew cross country, you would do it in a 747. Nice, roomy, had the middle row, the sides, could walk around a few times. It would take you, half hour. Plenty of room. Now you fly cross country, and it's basically a single engine little propeller plane. Things have changed. So it even looks cool. TWA sounds cool. Now we have Delta, American Airlines, JetBlue, which they do the job, but they fly these teeny weeny planes. Teeny weeny planes. So I don't know. I wish somebody would say, hey, let's bring back the big planes. But yeah, so I got this at an antique shop. Get that. And one time I ended up going to Florida, and I don't think this company exists anymore, but there was a company called Piedmont, and I went to Florida on Piedmont. Sounds like Peabody. Piedmont. But the majority of my travels over the years, not like I travel weekly, but over the years, used to be on TWA, the majority. Been on Pan Am. I have flown TWA, Pan Am. I've been on Delta, American Airlines. I think I've been on JetBlue. What else? I said Piedmont. Air France. I've been on Air France, which was a big pain in the ass, that situation, flying on Air France. Not the flight itself, but so we ended up getting a connecting flight in Paris. So we land in Paris, and this is a very long time ago, and I thought it was going to be like, maybe an hour delay, or not a delay, but an hour before we could switch over to the other plane, which was supposed to be a TWA. So all of a sudden we start realizing that there's a delay going on here, and nobody knows how long it's going to be. Well, at the very end of it, it was 12 hours. So we were stuck in Paris in the airport. Not like we went out and had good food or something, or nice coffee or a biscuit. No, we were stuck in the airport for 12 hours. So not a good experience. And then finally they announced that we would not be taking TWA, but Air France. And I was with my mother. I was a kid back then. And for years and years, my mother would tell everybody that she's been on the biggest plane in the world. It was Air France, and she loved the wallpaper inside. And I said to her, well, 747s come in different lengths, but every company, every airliner back then had those different lengths. It wasn't like, Boeing made a special big long 747 only for Air France. TWA had the same exact airplanes because they were made by Boeing or McDonnell Douglas. But now I think most of them I think all of them, I'm not talking about Airbus now, I'm talking about the ones made here, are made by Boeing. I don't even know if McDonnell Douglas is around. But I was fascinated with flying. I still am. I'm a big fan of airplanes. First time I went on an airplane, I was 3 years old. Funny thing is, I remember it. I remember the whole, build up, and everybody who was coming to visit me before the trip, they would all bring me little model airplanes to play with. One of my uncles bought me, it must have been small, but to me it looked huge back then, but it was a base with a heavy wire connected to a model airplane, and then you had a remote thing, and you would make the thing go in circles. Somebody else got me a Pan Am jetliner, about that big. I loved that thing. It had a switch underneath, had batteries inside, lights would blink, it made the noise. I'm a huge fan of airplanes. Helicopters, I like them, but not as much as airplanes. So yeah, I'm a big fan of all that stuff. So anyway, the day they announced that TWA was gonna disappear, and that was a sad day. Pan Am, same thing, but they come from the same start, the same background. And I miss flying on 747s. I know Airbus makes, what is it, the 380? Doesn't even sound impressive, 380. It should have been like the 2400, like maybe Atari. They come up with the 380. 380 sounds like it's smaller than a 747. 747 sounds impressive. And I've seen all the airport movies, the disaster ones. They had these big 747s. Helen Hayes snuck on board one of them. A little sneaky lady. Went to the bathroom or something. Somehow she ended up on the plane. Stowaway. Captain Stubing would find her. But yeah, good memories on those planes. And then I remember one time I was on a TWA flying across the Atlantic Ocean, and we hit turbulence. But at the moment, they didn't know we were going to hit turbulence, and they were serving beverages. So they were up to my seat, and the sky maid says to me, what kind of drink would you like? And I said, give me a Sprite. And she takes it out, she starts pouring it, and as she's pouring it, we hit an air pocket, and the plane felt like it dropped like, I don't know, 1,000 feet. It just felt like when you go on a roller coaster and you free fall. That's what it felt like. And the entire can of Sprite landed on my shirt. So, and I did not want attention drawn to me that day. And the reason is because prior to getting on the plane the day before, I went to a place that had a walnut tree. And if anybody knows anything about fresh walnuts, is when you peel off that skin to get to the actual shell, the skin contains a dye. And I knew this, so I took tons of walnuts, cleaned them out, and I took all that juice, and I got my hands, nice and colored, and I added layer after layer after layer until my hands looked like I was working on a 1974 Buick. That's what they look like, nice, greasy, just, dark, greasy looking hands. And I remember I went out to, play, and the kids in the neighborhood were like, hey, you don't wash your hands? Everybody was making a comment. And I said, let me explain to you what's going on. This is not dirt, it won't come off. This is dye from walnuts. And the second I would say it, they'd be like, oh yeah, I got you now. So anyway, somebody said to me, why don't you warm up some bleach, put your hands in there, and it'll come right off. I did that. It did not make a difference. Did not make a difference. So the next day I had to fly over the Atlantic Ocean, and my hands just looked ridiculous. I mean, they looked like I was digging in an oil field. So I didn't want the attention on me, and I was always like, had my hands down, whatever, but when I had to eat, my hands, had to be used, because you can't eat like a dog. And I would notice people, they'd walk by, and the first thing they would do is they would look at my hands. But then when that thing happened where we hit an air pocket, then I really got the attention. They came over there with Bounty towels and everything, and they were wiping me down, and everybody was checking on my hands. So I haven't done that since. Although I haven't had the opportunity. If I had the opportunity, I probably would have done it. But anyway, that's a very powerful dye. And then eventually, it does go away. It just takes time. So I forget how long it was. Maybe, I think it was less than a week. But, imagine walking around with hands like that don't match the rest of you. And you just look like you're a farmer, all day. And maybe a little bit of a mechanic at the end. So anyway, very, very, it has a tint to it too, so it looks like it's grease. It looks like it's grease from a motor. So anyway, I'm gonna go in and check up and see what's going on with the spaghetti, because that's the law. Wednesday is spaghetti night. That's it.